They're a fifth mode prayer that allows us to move beyond needing intervention, beyond asking for help. Well, the answer is resounding yes. So what I'd like to do is share an example. This is a story, it's a true story that happened to me when I left the corporations in the early 1990s, and I moved to a piece of land in the high desert of northern New Mexico. And those of you that live in that part of the world, you may remember the 1990s was one of the worst droughts in recorded history. The elders of the native peoples, they said in the memory of their ancestors, they'd never seen a drought that had lasted as long as what we were experiencing. It was going on 5+ years. It was terrible. Cattle were dying, crops were dying, people were selling their farms because they could no longer support themselves on the land. And it was during this time that a native friend of mine called me one morning. And to honor his privacy, I'm going to call him David, even though David is not really his name. But David called me one morning and he asked me, he said, "Greg, would you like to meet me and accompany me to a place that is so old, no one even knows who built this place. It was built by the hands of our ancestors. It is a wheel. It is a circle of stone where we offer our prayers because in this place, the skin between the worlds is very thin." I love that terminology. So he said, "Would you like to join me to offer a prayer of rain?" And I didn't have to think twice. I said, "You bet." And I met David and we hiked into this place. I wasn't prepared for what I saw. As an Anglo, as a Westerner, I expected to see some chanting, some kind of ceremony, maybe some dancing. And what I saw was David. He sat on the ground. He took off his old work boots. He unlaced them and put them outside the circle. He stepped into the circle with his naked feet on the ground. He closed his eyes. He honored all of his ancestors. He honored the directions, all 6 of them. And then he closed his eyes with his hands in a prayer mudra over his heart, just for a few seconds. This is outside of the town of Taos, New Mexico. It's the nearest city of any size. And he looked at me. He opened his eyes and he looked and he said, "I'm hungry. You want to get a bite to eat?" And he was inside the circle. And I said, "Well, yes." I said, "But I thought you were going to pray for rain." And he looked at me and what he said has stayed with me so powerfully for so long, and it's helped so many people when they think about how this prayer works. He looked at me and said, "No." He said, "If I prayed for rain, rain could never happen." He said, "Because the moment I pray for rain, I have just told the universe that rain does not exist here. The moment I pray for it to happen, I'm acknowledging that it's not here now." And I said, "Well, if you didn't pray for rain just now," I said, "when you close your eyes, what did you just do?" And he said, "When I closed my eyes," he said, "I felt the feeling of what it feels like when it rains in my Pueblo village." He said, "I felt the feeling of what it feels like to stand with my naked feet in the mud, and the mud is there because there's been so much rain." He said, "I smelled the smells of what the rain smells like when it rolls off the earthen walls from our Pueblo, and I felt what it would feel like to walk through the corn that's this high against my naked chest, and it's this high because there's been so much rain to grow the corn, and then I give thanks of gratitude and appreciation for the rain that has already happened." All right, can you see now, through everything that we have explored, everything we've discovered in this series, can you see what David has just done? He's brought together so many of the concepts. He's acknowledging that there's a field out there, number one, that he's communicating with that field,